It is time to get raw. It is time to get down. It is time for the Raw Down, the number one source for all things WWE, right here at the Turnbuckle Tavern. I'm your host, Young Anthony, and I am joined with my co-host, the MVP Marco of the Chick Foley Show. Marco, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you? How are you doing over there?
I'm doing good because I've got some big news that I want to break here on the Raw Down. It has been a historic few days here in Raw Down history, and
Yeah.
I want to show why exactly that is the case. Marco, tell me about how you're doing as I pull up this one of a kind picture.
I mean, I'm doing good. I mean, I'm feeling I'm seeing that there's a lot of new titles being shared around town, and you know, we're still confused. Everyone's confused. It seems like if you scroll through Twitterverse, if you scroll through social media, people are like, "What the hell's going on? What does this belt mean now? Who? What does this belt mean?" Hopefully, we can. Hopefully, me and you can make some sense as to what is happening
Oh,
in
I'm
the
sure
title
we will
scene.
not do that, but we'll talk about it, but we won't make sense out of it. Um, yeah, we got a lot of stuff to talk about on today's episode. Obviously the championships. Uh, a lot of championship stuff going on, so we're definitely going to be talking about that. Also, apparently a new signing coming to WWE. Um, so an interesting way to find out about a new signing, but we'll get to that in a moment. As this picture just doesn't want to fucking upload for some reason. We're live, pal. What are we doing here? All right, bear with me because this is a very important picture that I need to show. Hopefully, this will work. All right, it's not gonna fucking work, of course, because why would it work when I'm trying to make this? I'm gonna cut this part out of the out of the. This might be the only way that I could get it to work. Let's see if this. Jesus Christ. All right, fuck it. Never mind. The picture that I was going to show, but all right, here we go. I got it up. All right, hold on. 1 minute. This is just horrendous. Remind me to never do this ever again. All right, and here it is. As best as I can do it. It's not going to work any other way. But I met J-Bone, me and him. Oh wait, that made it even worse. I met J-Bone, ladies and gentlemen. First time ever that two members of the Raw Down have met in person. He's here in New York, and we decided to take a trip to Sean's Bar right next to 30 Rock.
Nice.
So first time that I met J-Bone, it was a awful experience. He's an awful human being.
Oh
And I
no.
wish him the worst on his trip to New York. No, I'm just kidding. He's a very nice man. And yeah, just wanted to share that.
Was
That
he
was the
by
first.
himself? Did you meet the fam? Did you meet the wife?
No, he was by himself. Did not meet the fam because they were going to go to the Empire State Building after
Ah,
uh, after our little, you know, adventure to Sean's Bar. But did have a good half hour chat with old Bone Man himself. And who knows? Maybe there will be some more tavern reunions happening very soon. J-Bone's coming to Boston, I hear. So
yes.
maybe we'll see another union of the Raw Down members.
Yeah, he's heading up. I mean, he probably should be here or by tomorrow. Hopefully he's here. He's actually going to see. I believe the Yankees are
Oh,
playing the Red Sox
who
tomorrow
the
at
fuck would want to
Fenway
watch that?
Park, as we call it around here.
And like,
So I think it's his first trip to Fenway, which is pretty awesome. We're gonna meet right on Lansdowne Street, the world famous Lansdowne Street. It's literally like the Bourbon Street for Boston. Fenway's right across the street, and then right on the other side, it's just bars. You know, right on from the corner of the beginning of the street all the way down. It's just different bars and pubs and stuff like that. So I'll beat him there before the game. I believe we're gonna try to do that. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Yeah, it's gonna be
Fun.
exciting. We're actually seeing everyone in person, which is pretty cool. Maybe we'll have to try to figure out a way for all three of us to be in the same area at one.
WrestleMania 40. WrestleMania 40.
We might have to do a special RAWDOWN episode, like a gorilla type episode, where we're just like using our iPhones. We just upload it.
We could do it. I think we could do it. WrestleMania weekend. We could figure something out. We'll all be in town. But regardless, that's for 2024, because we have a lot of stuff to discuss here in June of 2023.
Yes.
And I say we jump right on in and we get started outside the ropes.
Outside the ropes.
Outside the ropes news, we're going to kick things off with a very interesting way to find out that a new member of the WWE roster is on the way, allegedly. So Carlito was scheduled for an independent wrestling event with, I believe, Devin Nicholson's company. And apparently he got a call or a text from Carlito, and basically Carlito pulled out of his show because he told Devin Nicholson, or Hannibal, as many people call him, that he is signed with WWE. So Devin Nicholson just completely if there was going to be a surprise, he just completely ruined it. But it seems as if the WWE listened to the fans after the big Backlash appearance.
Yeah.
And Carlito is signing back with WWE. Now, this remains obviously a lot of questions. Number one question being, is this actually true? Because, you know, we're talking about Hannibal TV here. You know, we're not talking about the set in stone confirmed by WWE themselves if Carlito was coming back. But obviously him pulling out of an independent show is very questionable when it comes to if this is going to happen. Something that could counteract this, and I want to make sure my dates are correct, but I believe that, and yes, tomorrow, actually, House of Glory here in New York is going to have Matt Cardona defending his House of Glory championship, World Heavyweight Championship, against Carlito. So I don't know when that independent show was supposed to happen. I don't know if you have the date on that.
I don't think they actually said anything about a date of that show, but I'm assuming it's later on. I don't think it's like now.
Yeah, I mean, you know, obviously it could be just a case of, well, the show's happening tomorrow as opposed to the other independent show probably was happening during the time when Carlito would have been signed.
Yeah.
But I want to know your take on this. Do you think that Carlito is either going to sign with or has already re-signed with the WWE? And if so, what is his contract looking like? Is it going to be a full-time schedule? Is it going to be part-time? Is it a Legends deal? I mean, what are we thinking about here when it comes to Carlito?
I mean, I don't think it's like out of the question that he re-signed. I think it kind of, you know, just talking about that return he had at Backlash and I think it just makes it better for that type of partnership relationship with Puerto Rico and doing more shows over there and having that attachment. Obviously, you have Damian Priest, and then you have obviously the biggest cosign, which is Bad Bunny, and I think just having him kind of re-sign, and kind of bridging that gap and keeping that door open, because we don't know when we're going to get Bad Bunny back in the WWE. I would assume, at a big event or something like that. But in the meantime, if they want to do like some other shows there, or house shows even, added as a part of their like overseas tour, I mean, it obviously, like, it could be a Legends deal, kind of like how Trish is, what she's doing right now. he might not be wrestling every week, but just be on TV. And obviously the Cologne family are, as far as wrestling goes, I mean, there's more than one royal family in wrestling, and his his family is definitely one of those families that are very much royalty. So having him back, and hoping that hoping everyone else comes back to WWE, hoping that opens the door for the rest of the the other bloodline, to come back in the WWE. So
Yeah, maybe
we'll
we'll
see what
see
happens.
Roman and the Usos versus Carlito, Primo, and Epico.
Yeah, man, I'll go for it. I mean, why not? Bloodline versus bloodline.
Hey, man, if they wanted to do that at the next Puerto Rico show, because you know what's going to happen.
Oh, my God.
The next Puerto Rico show, they're going to do it again. They wanted to do Roman Reigns versus Carlito. I think that would be.
Oh, I was literally just thinking about that earlier today when I seen him possibly signing. Do you understand how crazy that crowd would be if you have Carlito stand across from Roman Reigns for a Universal Championship match?
I mean, we were talking about Roman versus Bad Bunny at SummerSlam. Just think about Roman versus Carlito. As strange as it sounds,
It could. I mean,
it
it
only
could
worked
happen.
in Puerto Rico, though. It only.
I would say Damian Priest if that was the case. I mean, I could see Damian
yeah,
Priest
sure.
facing Roman Reigns and like maybe Bad Bunny making an appearance or something like that. But yeah, I mean, I like the idea. If it's a Legends deal, obviously for the collectors out there, probably get a brand new Carlito figure.
yeah.
You'll probably get a current one as well as they'll do an old school one, an update as people like to say, because there's a lot of old figures out there of Carlito. So definitely needs an update from what he had before. But hey, I mean, I like it. I'm just curious as to what capacity he would what role would he play if he were to come back. So that'd be the interesting part.
Carlito was always a figure that as a kid I always wanted, but I never had the chance to get him because as I was starting my wrestling fandom, right as I started watching wrestling, that's when the Mattel line started.
Yeah.
So honestly, that was a perfect time to start being a wrestling fan.
Yeah.
Not really. It was 2010.
But
it's 2009. But when you're a kid, that's a perfect time to start being a wrestling fan because that's when all the Mattel figures came out. And like that was also when Carlito started to become fizzled out of WWE. So he only got like 2 figures?
I think so, yeah.
I don't think he ever got an elite. Like
no, not that I know. I don't think so. He
was in a 2-pack with Primo, and I think that was it.
Yeah,
but I always wanted Carlito as a figure because, like, the hair was really like I don't know what was so cool about it to me, but the figure, well, pun intended. But the figure just looked very cool with the big hair and everything.
Yeah.
Just a nice head scan. I was like,
yeah,
I need that Carlito figure.
That's why I love the. Well, I'm actually looking it up right now. Yeah, you're right. He only had a what we would consider a basic figure, right. So no crazy articulation. But it was him and Primo in a 2-pack, and then obviously you have like all the ruthless aggression, like Jax figures and all that stuff that he had. So he had plenty of those. But the Mattel line, yeah. So you'll be getting your first ever, if he does resign, get your first ever Carlito Elite, which would be pretty cool. And the hair is pretty cool because I do one of my favorite figures is the Doink. I have actually both Doink Elite figures, and one of them you can remove the hair, and like it has the 3 different hairs, like the big afro, then like the one that's kind of going down, and then the matted one when he's like really like a heel. And I always thought that like hair was actually cool how they did that. So yeah, no, definitely looking forward to that. Like I said, as a collector, if he is coming back, I'm assuming it's going to be LWO capacity. Maybe he'll join up with them, or maybe hit up Raw and feud with, like I said, Damian Priest and that type of stuff. Who knows? I mean, I'm excited. It'll great.
Probably be a mix of the LWO and like Dominic. I think that's the main thing.
Yeah.
I think he'll start off on Raw with the Judgment Day, kind of going up against them. I don't know if there's anyone that they could team him up with, but this could be a good way actually to kind of start up a new feud for the Judgment Day.
Yeah.
Because Carlito's going to need someone to feud with. The Judgment Day is going to need someone to go up against. Carlito's going to need someone to tag up with. So this is a good opportunity for you if you wanted to put someone with Carlito. You have a legend, and you have a rising star or a tag team. You put them up, put them together to go up against the Judgment Day. That could be a good feud. A good way to use Carlito kind of to elevate younger talent. But I think it all comes back to the LWO. I don't know how they would use him because I don't know. Ray is kind of the leader of the group. Does Ray start to fizzle out? Obviously, no one knows when Ray is going to end up retiring.
Yeah,
we've been saying for years that Ray is going to retire here. He's going to retire there. With Carlito, you have someone that if Ray eventually does decide to hang up the boots or hang up the mask, now you can kind of put Carlito in that position. Obviously he doesn't have the star power of Ray. He doesn't have that strong connection to the LWO like Ray had in WCW, but you already have that moment, which was so special at Backlash of that huge reaction. So automatically Carlito is associated with the LWO.
Yep. That makes sense.
He could be a new leader or a semi-leader of the LWO going forward. And I think just once again, that's a good way to use someone like Carlito, who, was never a top of the card main event talent. But he's someone like MVP, where it's like, he was always in that mid card, but now he's at the point in his career where he can start to elevate other talent. And that's where MVP is at his best right now is, he was able to bring up guys like Bobby and Cedric and Shelton and Omos. And that's kind of what you could do with Carlito. I'm not saying to make him a full-on manager because even MVP was wrestling. But, it could be a good way to, if you want to elevate guys like Santos and Zelina and others. But I think this is a win-win for the WWE. You bring in a guy like Carlito who has a strong fan base through the Ruthless Aggression era. Those fans are so strong when it comes to, the WWE. You see so many people around my age who love wrestling, who are so like, when you think about wrestlers, they think of guys like, obviously Cena, Hardy, Rey Mysterio, because that's that era. And Carlito is just a prime figure in that era. So many people know about Carlito, obviously, even with him not being a top of the card contender. There's definitely a market that like very much relates to Carlito and remembers him. So I think this is a really good use of nostalgia to kind of bring in nostalgia for a younger audience, which I don't think they've really tapped into as much as they can.
Yep. I was actually gonna kind of mention that he from the Ruthless Aggression era, there aren't really they're gonna start tapping into that portion. So like for people in my age group, the nostalgia acts are Triple H, DX, Stone Cold, The Rock, all those guys that in the Attitude Era. But now you have, like you said, the generation now. They grew up on the Ruthless Aggression era. So now I wouldn't be surprised if you start seeing a lot more of those ladies and gentlemen start popping up like Carlito. And like you said, Rey Mysterio is a huge figure. You have Edge, which is he was kind of Attitude / Ruthless Aggression because he was at the end of Attitude Era, but made his like huge mark during the Ruthless Aggression era. John Cena, Batista, if they can get him back, he's a part of that. Brock Lesnar's technically a Ruthless Aggression guy. Randy Orton's a Ruthless Aggression guy. Like that. I mean, that pretty much that class. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing a lot of the that era of wrestler popping up or being mentioned more, because that's the fans that are watching now that are like in your age group are they're the ones that grew up on that. They're the ones that seen all that stuff. So I mean, I definitely see that happening.
I mean, they just threw in guys like the Great Khali and like Rey Mysterio into the Hall of Fame, and these are guys that obviously, I mean, Rey has transcended multiple generations, but they're people that younger generations relate to and acknowledge and they know who they are, basically, is what I'm trying to say. So I like that, obviously, being a younger fan, I like that they're now bringing in, like we were talking about, that the younger type of legends, right? For people in my age group. And I mean, who knows? You might start to see more of these guys going forward. I mean, there was rumors that we were going to see like Chris Masters in the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yep.
who would have thought that Chris Masters would have made an appearance in the Royal Rumble, or even being rumored to make an appearance? But you know, here we are. So excited for Carlito. I think the best is yet to come with him, and I'm sure we're going to get, you know, some good matches, good feuds. And I do think that that LWO connection is going to be very valuable going forward. I want to also talk about another potential, and I use that word very lightly, member of the WWE roster might be coming in. And he is right now in AEW. But obviously, there's always been, you know, speculation of who's going to be that first big jump from AEW to WWE, and we got our answer. That was Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 38. Unless I'm forgetting someone big off the top of my head, we haven't seen any other major names jumping from AEW to WWE since then. However, it seems as if, although not a major name right now, a future star, an inevitable star in wrestling could be making that next jump.
Yeah.
As there's been some speculation that Triple H is scouting the 24-year-old Hook to join the WWE. And it seems as if Taz, his father, the FTW champion's father, also wants Hook to grow in the WWE system. You know, there a lot of this is hearsay at the end of the day. Nothing is confirmed, but there has been some heat kind of building up to this. It was talked about in the past that Hook might be someone who could jump over to WWE, but now it seems to be picking up a little bit more steam. Now we're hearing that Triple H is scouting Hook. We could be seeing him make that jump over. I don't know when his contract wraps up. If someone in the chat wants to help us out with this, if that information is even out there. But when it comes down to Hook, I want to ask you, at 24 years of age, he is right now in AEW not being presented as a top name, but he is being presented as a figure in AEW. Like, he has a presence to him. He has the entrance. He has the short matches that he just squashes the people, and he's got the FTW championship right now. So he's obviously a presence on AEW, give or take, you know, when he wants to tag team with someone random like Danhausen or Jungle Boy or whatever. He's got his name on the AEW card. When we're talking about the WWE with developmental and NXT and everything like that, do you see someone like Hook also being positioned on the card of WWE like he is, or in a similar vein to how he is right now in AEW, more of that Raw, SmackDown, obviously not a main eventer? Or is he going to have to go through the ropes and train in NXT and learn from under the Shawn Michaels learning tree, as they're calling it? Where do you see them going with this?
Yeah, I don't see them putting him right to the main roster if he does ever. If it is true and he does actually sign, I definitely see him going through the NXT ranks, only because we didn't talk about this, and I totally forgot to bring this up. That, you know, Nick Khan, I think he mentioned this last week in an interview that you know, he has the potential. He said, you know, NXT has the potential to be that third brand.
Yes.
And you are going to start seeing a lot more crossover with NXT and the, you know, Raw and SmackDown, which you are seeing now with Seth Rollins facing I almost said Baron Corbin, Braun Breaker next week at NXT Gold Rush. So having them do that, yes, I could definitely see them, putting him in the NXT system. I think he'd definitely be, he definitely needs some polishing,
Mm-hmm.
as far as like his in-ring style. Like definitely keep, what he's doing now. Like, his style is very unique where he kind of has that Taz when Taz first started ECW, that MMA type style that he brought to that no one knew what the hell it was at the time. Like it was a lot of like, chokeholds and, judo flips and, suplexes and all that stuff. Like, he a lot of like mat based wrestling. And I think he does that. Definitely has a look. Kid's good looking. I mean, good looking guy. What they call him, the cold hearted handsome devil.
Yeah.
Hook. That's the name that they give him there. But he has that look, man. I think you bring him in, a lot of ladies are gonna be definitely keeping their eyes peeled on and I think they see that. Especially like, like with Austin Theory right now. He's a young guy, good looking guy, great in ring. And I think he'll get that type of same treatment when he does make it to that roster. Like they'll definitely put a title on him. And I think obviously, Taz is friends with Regal. So Regal is, Regal's there at NXT. So he'll definitely,
Good point.
help him out. And I think he sees what's happening with Braun Breaker, Rick Steiner's son. Like, look what he's doing. He's facing Seth Rollins next week in a world championship match. So, I mean, now that NXT is going to have that door open for those opportunities where there's going to be crossover happening, why not? Why not take the lead? Now it's not like, oh, I'm going to NXT. I got to wait to get to the main roster. It's now the main roster is going to come to you. And if you prove yourself, they're doing it the right way. So, like, now when people are like watching NXT and they see someone from NXT get moved over to Raw, now they're familiar with that person because, oh my God, that's the dude that faced Seth Rollins in the World Championship match. That's the person that faced Baron Corbin. That's the person that faced Ali. So like when you bring the main roster to NXT and you have these matches, that definitely helps out the talent that's there, the younger talent. And it gives them that, obviously that brush with the rub as they say it.
Right.
And if Hook is gonna do that, he's gonna come into the system when it's probably gonna be in full swing, where they're, doing all these crossover type things. And like I said, they have, Taz is, he has friends there in NXT. Obviously, he knows, Regal and Shawn Michaels and all those guys. So like he's gonna be in good hands. He's not gonna be in bad hands. He's only gonna get better. And I think they see him as, I mean, if I'm looking at Hook at the way they're looking at him, I see him as like the Logan Paul like type. Like I said, like good looking dude, very athletic in the ring. You could put him in the ring with pretty much every. You don't have to have him talk because he doesn't on AEW. He has that look where he doesn't have to talk. He just look at he has that he just has that presence, and I think they see that, and that's something that Taz is seeing that AEW isn't like capitalizing on at the moment. So
no, you made some great points.
Well, maybe with Collision, I don't know. That's the other thing. We got to see what happens with Collision. Is he going to be featured on Collision more? Like maybe Tony Khan will hear these rumors and be like, hey, Hook, you want to be a main guy on Collision on Saturday? Who knows? But I mean, I wouldn't hate it. I definitely like to see them looking at the not just the established talent, but the younger talent over in AEW. If that is the case, if they are scouting, they're not looking at like bringing Jericho back or not anything against Jericho, but bringing Moxley back and all these guys. Like, no, look at the younger talent, like the MJFs, the Hooks of the world, Darby Allin. Not that he would ever go, but Sammy Guevara. I would love to see Sammy Guevara, have some matches in WWE. He'd be matched up with a lot of great talents over there. Yeah. I'm like I said, it's all rumors, rumors and speculation right now. But I mean, I think it'd be a good move for him if he's being stagnant right now in AEW.
No, you made some great points. I've never been the biggest Hook fan. Not anything against him. I am not, because he doesn't have like a prominent role on AEW for a while. It was hard to really get invested in him. However, if we're talking about it solely from a standpoint of him jumping ship to WWE, I think this is a move that'll do him specifically wonders. And I'll tell you why. I think having that what it comes down to is him jumping to WWE will allow him to kind of use that experience that he's had already on TV to his advantage.
Yep.
What I mean is he's already become, like I said, a presence on AEW programming, right? Like Send Hook, all those memes, and the build up to him finally making his debut, having all these short matches, having the Action Bronson stuff, and tag teaming with all these guys. Say what you will about if it was good or not, he has been on TV in prominent positions in multiple big shows, like, the Grand Slam, and, doing work with CM Punk and doing work with Jungle Boy and all these different names. He has been on TV a good amount. Well, I shouldn't say that. He hasn't been on TV a lot, but when he has been on TV, it's mattered. That's what I'm trying to get at. So having all of this experience already being on TV, now he has the opportunity to jump ship to WWE. And what this does for him now is it's not just, right from the start, back to the beginning, back to the basics, reinvent yourself. You already have somewhat of a character, a likeness to you going in. So the guys who have scouted you, like Triple H and William Regal and Shawn Michaels, they're able to say, well, we know what you can do. Now we can just fill in those blanks and kind of pull out some more of you, but kind of tie it into what you're already doing. So now when you eventually put him on NXT, he's automatically going to be a top name. He's obvious, like, oh my God, Hook is on NXT. But for those people that haven't seen Hook before, now you get the opportunity to show a different side of Hook, so that you have one type of fan base who's watching NXT. You have one type of fan base who has watched AEW and is saying, holy shit, Hook is on NXT. You have another fan base who doesn't really pay that close attention to AEW, who's thinking, holy shit, this guy's really good. And he's already being positioned as one of the main names on NXT. So this is really good for him. I think having him in that system will also just allow him to develop more as just an overall wrestler.
Yeah.
I don't know what the locker room is in AEW, obviously, but I feel like being in a system that's meant for development is a lot more, like, it'll obviously help you learn a lot more rather than just, getting advice or doing whatever. I think being in a system where you're where the primary focus is to develop your skills is more, it's just valuable to someone like Hook, who is still looking to grow as an overall wrestler.
Yeah.
I think the character is already there, but now it becomes, where can you fill in those other spots to really elevate you and really get you into that space where it's like, okay, Hook is very much legit. We're already saying how great of a wrestler he is. Imagine him in a system with, your Triple H's and your William Regals. Is it going to be a ground-shattering, earth-quaking signing for the WWE? No. In the grand scheme of things, it'll draw some buzz because it's someone jumping ship from AEW to WWE.
Yeah.
But I think it just becomes, how do you position him? How do you use him? Are you going to just build him from the ground up? Or are you going to kind of tap into that Send Hook presence, this character that he's built up? That remains to be seen. It remains to be seen if he even goes to WWE in the first place.
True.
He might have a great relationship with Tony Khan, and Taz might have a great relationship with Tony Khan, and there might be plans for him. Like you said, Collision. I feel like Collision's going to literally paint out so many pictures for so many wrestlers who we thought were leaving AEW. Guys like Miro and Andrade and Punk and Thunder Rosa. Those four alone already are prominent names and are going to be on the first Collision show this Saturday. So all these names that we're saying, oh, maybe they're going to jump ship, maybe this is going to happen, this Saturday is going to change a lot of the perception on that. So until then, I think it's hard to really speculate if you're going to see some guys jumping from AEW, WWE. But it's always fun to consider it. And if there's ever going to be a guy, I think that Taz connection is really what's going to set him apart from the rest of the pack and be like, maybe he is a guy that could be positioned to go over to WWE. But yeah, remains to be seen. Any other thoughts on Hook before we move on?
No, I mean, like I said, it's like you said, all rumors and speculation until it actually happens, but we'll see. I think I mean, like you said, anyone that it's not a downgrade from AEW to WWE. Like especially if you want to, like you said, learn a lot more and grow, get your build your skill set a little bit better. I think, like I said, he already has the skill set. He's athletic. If you've seen him in the ring already, he just needs to be polished off a little bit better. And I think the presentation. I think that's what they're looking at more than anything. Like the way he looks and like stuff in the ring, and obviously his father being Taz, and I think they want to be like that breeding ground for like next generation superstars, or the next generation from a family of wrestlers. Obviously you look at the Rock's daughter, Cody's a big one, obviously. Braun Breaker, like I think they want to be that like place where if you're a generational talent from a wrestling family, you want to come here and be able to make your mark or whatever. So
like Solo Sikoa, he was about to sign with AEW and then he signed with the WWE.
The whole Samoan family, except for like the ones outside, like in MLW and New Japan and all that stuff. But
and I'm sure WWE's already, they have them on their radar too. I'm sure.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, they definitely. It's like I said, when Roman and the Usos are hanging it up, by that time they'll have a few more of the Anoa'i family in the WWE at some point. So yeah, we're not running out of that at all.
If he comes, he comes. If not, it's whatever to me. But I think that also has to do with how they've like
presented him. Yeah,
like like I said, he's in big spots, but how much of that is really great? He hasn't had like that match yet. I believe he's still undefeated, right?
Yeah, he's still undefeated.
Still undefeated. He's had maybe 12 to 15 matches on TV at least. I don't count like the YouTube stuff. Even if he's had, I don't even know if he's had stuff on YouTube. To be completely honest with you.
But yeah, has he been on Dark or anything like that, or Elevation or any of those? I don't even.
Oh, look who it is in the chat.
Oh,
I just showed the picture of us. I actually got it working now. Hold on.
Oh man, is that drunk J-Bone? Is that what that is? Hopefully it isn't. There it is. Finally,
this was sober J-Bone in a bar. It was a very rare sight to see. No, me and J-Bone had a good time. I hope you're enjoying your New York experience, J-Bone. Don't party too hard. What else is he saying?
Yeah,
I guess he is.
It's a lot of S's.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. Regardless. All right. So I think that's it for Hook. I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see on him. But nevertheless, let's move on to our next segment. We're gonna jump on Inside the Ring.
Collar and elbow.
All right. Collar and elbow. We're going to talk about titles on this segment. This is a very title-ish segment that we're going to be delivering here. New women's championships. First one was revealed on SmackDown. The WWE Women's Undisputed Championship given to Asuka. It is just a white strap, smaller version of the WWE Undisputed Universal Championship. I think everyone was expecting that. And then we get the white strap, smaller version of the World Women's Championship. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I think so.
The World Women's Championship given to Rhea Ripley. So the undisputed women's champion on one show. Undisputed. Let me also address this by saying it's different because when we're talking about Roman, he's the undisputed Universal Championship. I've said this so many times that he is the Universal Champion. Like, you have the World Heavyweight Championship, you have the Universal Champion. He is undisputedly the Universal Champion.
Yep. Not disputed at all. Nope.
There's no
No
genuinely, if we're talking about the name of the title, there is no one else who is the Universal Champion.
Yeah.
So it works.
Yep.
Regardless if they, just ruin the lineage of the championship. Regardless, no one else is the Universal Champion. There's another women's champion. World Women's Champion. Undisputed Women's Champion. There's 2 women's championships. It's disputed. What are we doing here with the names? I saw that on the WWE shop listing. I saw the little undisputed name, and I was like, oh my God, was this like a typo? Did they mess this up so bad? But I think that's what they're going with. Undisputed Women's Champ. All right. That was my pet peeve on it.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at it. I'm trying to look up the exact name of it, but it is the undisputed women's championship. That's what I'm assuming. And what I did read was it carries so we have to go back a little bit. So the Raw Women's Championship, right, at one point was the Women's Championship. Do you remember this?
Yes.
That's what it is taken. It's pretty much reverting back to what it was before, dropping the what do you call it? Raw part of it.
Wait, so the undisputed women's championship is the Raw championship? Or was before the Raw championship?
So before it became the Raw championship, it was the WWE Women's Championship.
The women's championship.
Lita at WrestleMania revealed it, and that's what Charlotte. I almost said Bianca, Charlotte, Sasha, and who was it? It was a triple threat. Was it Bailey? I think it was.
Oh no. Sasha, Becky, Charlotte.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah. Great match.
Yeah. So that was for the WWE Women's Championship. Then later on, they created the SmackDown Women's Championship.
Split happened.
The brand split happened, so they had to do that. So the belt that Asuka has is that belt that carries that lineage of the WWE Women's Show. Basically, whoever held it before is
right. Yeah.
So it's not a brand new title. So it technically is the Raw Championship, the WWE Women's Championship put into one. So it technically is an undisputed women's champion. Rhea is basically the women's version of Seth's belt, which is the World Heavyweight Championship, which I'm not sure what lineage it would carry. But that's what that is. That's kind of like the breakdown from what I read anyway.
That makes sense. I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
But it would make more sense if Rhea's title was not called the World Women's Championship. Obviously, there's no other way to call it, which is why you don't make it an undisputed women's championship in the first place. But I understand combining the lineage. It's just the case of you could have just called it the Universal Women's Championship or the World Women's Championship.
Yeah.
You don't need to call it the Undisputed Women's Championship. It does make sense. Let me get to some comments real quick because getting a little heated in the comment section here. Tyson says Hook has been featured on Dark and Elevation. Stop bashing online wrestling. I never bashed online wrestling. AEW doesn't even care about Dark and Elevation to begin with. They pulled it off the show to begin with. So
true.
Let's get that out of the way. But I never bashed online wrestling. J-Bone says it's good to know they are listening to us, not the undisputed part. And we would never say something like the undisputed women's championship. Complaining just like Tom, says Tyson. And J-Bone says, how does that make sense, Tyson? We need to have a sense of disbelief, and there is none with the titles. So there's legit complaint here. Well, I just want to hear your thoughts overall, Marco. And I guess I want to get your thoughts too, Tyson, and J-Bone and everyone else who's in the chat. What are your overall thoughts on these championships? I'll defer to you first, Marco. What are your overall thoughts? I mean, it's kind of just changing the titles besides like the whole contra, the undisputed part and everything. Were you surprised to see the World Heavyweight Championship become the other title? I don't know. Just what were your overall thoughts, initial thoughts? Has anything changed since then?
Yeah. So, so I think what kind of, so when they presented it on SmackDown, they presented it as the WWE Women's Championship. So I think what people seen on the title was that it says like undisputed on it. That's what kind of, because they didn't say undisputed women's championship when they presented it to it. They just said this is WWE's women's championship, which is basically what it was before it became the Raw championship. And then obviously Rhea's is the women's world championship. So there was a little bit of differentiation there. I like it because now we don't have to figure out why one brand is holding the other brand's title.
that's a good point.
That's the only thing I care about is now we don't have to. Why is Rhea on Raw with the SmackDown championship, and why is Asuka on SmackDown with the Raw? Now we don't have to worry about it because they fixed it. So we should be happy that they fixed it. No. That's my stance.
No. I mean, I think that was the main issue all along, was just the fact that Rhea is SmackDown champion on Raw, and vice versa. So obviously you knew that you need to do something with that. I just didn't think that they would make the World Heavyweight title as the new World Women's Championship.
Yeah.
Because of how much build and how much hype they had around the World Heavyweight Championship, right? It was a whole tournament. It was making all these appearances, and Triple H was hyping it up as the World Heavyweight Championship, but all this shit. And then we get to Raw, and they just pull the curtain off of it, and it's like, here's the new title. It's the same exact title as the world title, but this one's for the women, and it has a white stripe on it, or white strap on it, rather. I understand they made a completely new title. It's different. But, it's kind of weird to me how there wasn't really a lot of pomp and circumstance surrounding these new... Like, they announced it the day of that they were going to reveal the new women's title on SmackDown. Yeah. So, is it really like that? I guess, if anything, them not making a big deal out of it is kind of just get it out of the way, rip the Band-Aid off of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The World Heavyweight Championship, when they brought that in, it was a new championship. They wanted to emphasize it. They wanted to make this big thing around it, and it worked. Right now, that's one of the more momentum championships in wrestling, the championship that has the most momentum behind it. But when it comes to the titles like the Undisputed Universal title and both of the women's titles, there's not really a lot that's changed about it. It's still going to be Roman's champion, Asuka's champion, Rhea's champion. I think they kind of just did it quick just to get it over with.
Yeah.
We're not going to look back 20 years from now and say, oh my God, do you remember when they crowned Asuka as the undisputed women's champion in that ceremony? What a great moment that was.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. It's overkill if you get every single week. Are you gonna do a new coronation?
Right.
Are you gonna present it like it's just every single title is gonna be people. That's. I mean, obviously, if you're a gentleman, ladies first, so they should have did it with the women 1st if
Mhm.
you're gonna go that route. But other than that, I mean, yeah, I don't want to see a coronation every single week. Like there's this big ceremony and then they're running down the whole lineage of the which actually kind of would have helped if they did that, so we would know what the lineage is for these titles.
I
But
don't
other than
even
that,
think they know what the fucking lineage is at this
yeah,
point. They're
I think
kind
they're
of.
just like starting from scratch, dude. Pretty much.
Have you noticed that they haven't addressed it at all? Like, not whatsoever. Nothing on social media, nothing on Raw or SmackDown.
Hey,
They have not
maybe
said anything about it.
we kind of talked about this. Maybe this is truly like, you know, we kind of talked about this before. Where like maybe the titles aren't going to be, you know, pigeonholed to this certain era or this certain thing. Did we all that we had this conversation about?
Yeah,
like,
we talked about that last week. That
you're a world champion. You're just a world champion.
just
You're
a
not, it
world
doesn't matter what
champion.
the title is. You're the world champion. It depends on how much you defend it, how much prestige you bring to it. That whole type of thing. Which is what they're probably doing. And we had talked about this before. Maybe this is like the actual like not erasing Vince McMahon, but this ushers in the actual like Triple H regime, like the Triple H era, like that, like especially the two new titles that they presented, is under Triple H. He's presented them, so like maybe this is like the actual like forget everything in the past. We're starting from scratch. This is what's gonna we're going into kind of like our first big pay-per-view. We'll say. Obviously, I'm not United Champions there, whatever. But like this is like the first like big like Money in the Bank is one of their big what they call one of their big pay-per-views. So this is kind of like the new like the new titles are coming into this new pay-per-view, and I think this is kind of like the beginning of the season for I don't really count Night of Champions as like their new like thing. I think like Backlash is the end of the season. And then the beginning of the season starts at Money in the Bank, because that's Money in the Bank is pretty much what's going to lead you to the rest throughout the rest of the year, as far as like storylines and stuff goes. So maybe this is, like you said, kind of ripping the Band-Aid off here. Here's all these brand new titles. Let's get these out of the way. Now we can focus on Money in the Bank going forward. And I think that's pretty much what it is. And I wouldn't want to see it freaking court, like I said, presenting a new title like, we're gonna present a new title every single. It's like, all right, come on, we don't need this big thing.
A few points on the whole, because now we're talking about the title history and lineage and all of that. I went and did a little research on like what the WWE World Championships were, and from what they showed. That video that they made for Roman's 1000 Days is so important because it shows WCW champions, it shows NWA champions, it shows champions that were champion before the WWE started.
Yep.
So if they are going to do the combined lineage, which I'm not too sure if they're going to do it, more on that in a bit. I think what the combined, which I really like the idea. I think what the lineage would be obviously all the WWE champions, all the World Heavyweight champions, all the Universal champions. But I think it would also include the NWA champions before Buddy Rogers, because he was the first one when the WWF started. He was their first world champion. I think he vacated the NWA championship, where he brought it over to the WWF, and WWF made him like the first WWF champion. I forget how the exact story goes. You can do your own research. But because the NWA championship was a championship that was passed around from territory to territory, it was technically a WWF championship. So that lineage could also be included, which also kind of messes up the whole Roman thing. We were talking about Roman being in the top 5 champions, Hogan, Bruno, Pedro, Backlund, and Roman. Now you have to include guys like Luthez, who held the NWA championship for 2,000 days, and other guys who have held the championship for 1,000 days. I think now I got to do my research on who the first.
See, here's the thing. I don't think they're actually adding. So I think when they add NWA, they're adding the big gold as that champion. No?
I think that's different because
it kind of transitioned into the big gold, didn't it? At one point, like when WCW pretty much took over NWA, or however you want to, like, who knows what the hell was going on with that? But like, it kind of transitioned into the big gold title.
Well, that just depends now. Are you including the WCW history? Because if we're talking about the NWA history, pre 1963, that's not, Jim Crockett Promotions, WCW. That's just, like, here, I have the stats up now. So, Orville Brown was the first NWA world champion, held it for 501 days. Luthez was the second champion, held it for 2,300 days. And then you got guys like, Whipper Billy Watson, who was in that video. You have guys like Pat O'Connor, who was champion for 903 days. And I'm trying to see who else. Bobo Brazil was champion. Like I said, Luthez also held the championship for 1,079 days. So now you have a few guys who have been champion for over 1,000 days. I think if you ever hear Michael Cole mention names like Luthez and I think it was just Luthez who's been a champion for 1,000 days. Mention, if you ever hear Michael Cole mention Luthez when we're talking about, when he always does a thing whenever Roman comes down to the ring, he's Backlund, Hogan, Bruno. If you ever hear him mention Luthez now, then you'll kind of get an understanding of where this lineage is going to go. Big question will probably be, will they include WCW in that lineage? I don't think they will.
I don't think they've had any champions that held it over 1,000 days in WCW.
I'm not saying like the whole 1,000 days thing. I'm just saying in general, will this new undisputed Universal Champion, will that lineage include the WCW title? I don't think it will. I think they just use WCW, which, they included like Sting and Goldberg in that video. I think it was just to compare.
To compare the days, like as many days as champion. That's all. It wasn't really like the actual title itself. It was more or less like, here's Roman and here's everyone else has held a WWE championship. We'll do quotations. Or anyone that's, in that same vein. Here's the amount of days that they held it.
But I think there's more steam to the, sorry to cut you off, I think there's more steam to the NWA being a part of this than WCW, because Triple H is very in tune with the history, right? We've come to know this with the United States Championship and all of that. I don't see him not including like I said, NWA was a recognized championship by many territories, including the WWF. So they technically can include that in the lineage if they wanted to. If they wanted to do a big world championship, which I do like the idea of.
You know what? It depends. I would just say it depends on the year that they're including,
right?
And who they're including. Like you said, who was it?
Luthez?
Was he in the video? Who was in the video package for?
Whipper Billy Watson was in that video. There were a few other names. Orville Brown was in that video as well because he held it for 500 days. Those were the only two guys who were in that video who were before 1963. There were guys who have held the title, the NWA Championship, for over 1,000 days. I'm looking now. Gene Kiniski, Dory Funk Jr., Harley Race, Jack Briscoe would have been in that video because he held it for 500 days. And they didn't include their NWA reigns in that video. They included, if they had one, the WCW title reign. Because I believe Terry Funk was in that video, but he was WCW champion. I forget what the day was. But regardless, it was a WCW championship reign. It wasn't a pre 1963 reign. So, regardless, who even knows if that's going to be the way that they do the lineage? Because heard another rumor, and that's where I want to kind of tie it back to Roman, is what they're doing with the lineage apparently, and I want to get your take on this, is that for now, the World Heavyweight Championship lineage is on hold while Roman is champion. So like the Buddy Rogers, Bruno, Hogan, that lineage is on hold. When Roman loses the championship, it's going to revert back to the World Heavyweight Championship, the WWE Championship. And I think they're just going to do away with the Universal title. And it's just going to go back to the lineage.
See, that makes sense.
Which makes you think, where does Roman fit in on the lineage now? Because I guess he kind of stays with the Universal Championship. With that championship being retired, does that hinder like Roman being compared to Hogan and Backlund and all those names?
I don't
Because
think
it's
so.
not the same championship. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I don't think. Yeah, it's for with Roman, it's he made the championship. It wasn't the championship made him. He made the Universal Championship relevant.
Right.
Because I never even. I always hate the fact that they created a Universal Champion. Because what the fuck is a Universal Champion? You're not battling intergalactically across the universe with other wrestling organizations. Actually, I mean, you watching the news nowadays? Who knows?
Oh.
Might have a intergalactic wrestling league at some point. But yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I never liked it anyway. I think, just having someone to hold in professional wrestling nowadays, I think just they're harping on the fact that just someone holding a title that long, in this modern era of wrestling is fine if that's their choice of retiring it or reverting back to Seth's title. That's fine. I mean, he did his what do you do after the no one can hold that title after what do you do? I think he relinquishes it. I actually don't even think he loses it.
Really?
I think he just I think it's one of those Asuka moments where Asuka never lost the NXT Women's Championship. She just gave it up because she moved on to something else. And I think that might be
get injured. I could be wrong on that.
No, she moved up to the main roster.
Oh,
she never got it. She never lost. She was undefeated.
Yeah, you're right.
Even up until the main roster. So she did her whole stint at NXT, and then when she got called up to the main roster, she just passed on the title. She never lost it. So I think it's going to be one of those things where my thing is if someone does beat Roman, I don't think it's going to be anybody who we think it is, like a CODY or it's going to be a Bloodline member. That's what's going to happen with that title. Because you can't. I think that, like you said, I would honestly love the fact that they got rid of that title. Honestly, personally,
I'm sure everyone would.
I mean, it's awful. I mean, you do need two women's titles. I've always said this. You need a mid card, and granted, it's not a mid card title, but you definitely need two titles for the women because they're not doing a good job with just that one title. So you definitely need two. For the men, I mean, I guess you can keep it the Undisputed Universal Championship, but I don't know.
It's undisputed.
It's like I said, it would be kind of hard too, but if they're starting to do this crossover thing, the NXT Championship's available now. So people can go for the NXT Championship.
That's a good point.
And that has that's a better lineage than the Universal Championship. I have to say so myself. It might.
That's a good point.
Big E. Who else? Shinsuke,
Bo Dallas.
Bo Dallas.
No, and then
Samoa
you got
Joe,
Finn,
Kevin,
Samoa
Sammy.
Joe, Shinsuke, Bobby Roode, Drew McIntyre. The list goes on.
Yeah, I mean, so
Adam That's a
Cole,
good point. NXT does have a really good lineage. Shit.
Yeah,
whatever. Speaking of titles, let's talk about the Intercontinental Championship. As Gunther has now passed the 1 year mark as your IC champion, and he's set to break Honky Tonk's record. When did you say it was?
It was like September 6th
September
of this year. So
so I think we're both in agreement that he's going to break the record.
yeah. As much as you know, I love Honky Tonk Man, and he is the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time, as he would say so himself. Yeah, I think it's time. I mean, records are made to be broken. It happens. I mean, look
I wonder
LeBron
if
did. LeBron did it, so
yeah.
I mean, it has to. They can't stand. They can't. Some records can't stand the test of time. You know, and Gunther, no one's beating him.
Yeah.
I mean,
I wonder if this is just probably just a joke, but it makes you wonder. I wonder if LeBron beating that scoring title or being the new scoring champion had anything to do with WWE. All of a sudden, there's so many records being broken in WWE. Like Roman hit 1,000 days. Bianca hit, I think she's the longest reigning women's champion of the modern era.
Yep.
Something like that. Gunther's about to become, is he the longest reigning IC champion? Would that be?
Currently, yes. I mean, he might.
He would be, yeah. He would be the longest reigning IC champion. I don't know. A lot of records being broken. I wonder if good old LeBron had any impact on that. Probably
the Usos breaking
the Usos. I forgot about them. Fuck yeah.
Breaking the New Day's 434 day.
Triple H is all about records.
Holding it for a record 600. So yeah, I mean, or over 600 days. So I mean, I like it. It gives it some type of like, it brings some like prestige back to those titles, like especially the Intercontinental Championship. Like we were like the United States champion, that championship got its got its run with like Bobby Lashley and Seth Rollins, and they did great work with that title. Like they brought it to where it needed to be. And the IC title kind of like lacked a little bit in that sense. So I'm glad to see. And that's one of the OG titles. That's one of the titles that hasn't changed its name. It's always been the Intercontinental Championship. It hasn't been, the Universal Intercontinental Champion. There was no like iteration of it. It changed its design, but other than that, it's stayed consistent since the 90s, man. Actually, the 80s, 90s, and now. Then now and forever.
Then now forever.
IC title.
So this now brings us to another question that I want to ask. So Gunther is poised to break this record. Does him becoming the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion make him the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time?
Man.
Now it's hard to talk about it now because it's June.
Yeah.
And we have a whole summer's worth of and a little bit of the fall of Gunther IC Championship matches to compare and contrast. But given what his reign has already been, Sheamus, the triple threat match, Ricochet, Rey Mysterio, Shinsuke, I mean,
yeah,
that is a list right there of matches, and I can go on.
Yeah, I mean, definitely with that accolade, you could definitely have an argument for that, but you're obviously gonna have them people that are, what about Shawn Michaels? What about Bret Hart? What about, Ultimate Warrior? No, I'm joking. Mr. Perfect. I mean, Chris Jericho, The Miz. Those are all great champions when they held the title. Like, I mean, you're putting Gunther up against those guys in their competition as well. So,
but I think you can. I think you absolutely can put Gunther up against those guys. And maybe it's the recency bias, which I understand. Yeah. However,
because I want to do it too.
When you're talking about the matches that he's had as champion, I think that is where you kind of set him on that same pedestal. Like, I'm looking at these matches that he's had, and like these are top tier matches. Like, obviously, I already said Sheamus and Shinsuke and Ricochet and all those guys, but you had matches that get forgotten about. Like he had a great match with Strowman. He had a few great matches with Ricochet.
Yeah.
Going up against even recently Kevin Owens. I mean, that match was fantastic. Ali, he had a fun match with Ali. I think there is an argument to be made. Maybe not the greatest intercontinental champion of all time, but at least up there with
Definitely up there. Only because he's bringing it back to what it was before, was the workers title or the working man's title, or however you want to say it. Like that was a title that was gonna get you to the next step. That's
right.
It kind of lost its way with what they're doing. But yeah, that title always has been, once that person won the Intercontinental Championship, they're poised to get a WWE Championship, granted, or title shot at them. Granted, some of them didn't, but a majority of them did. Like I don't think Mr. Perfect. Actually, no, he did get a title shot against Hogan, I think. Yeah.
Probably.
So I mean, so like that title is supposed to prove that you are, if you hold that title and you're the worker guy, that prove that you can hold the WWE Championship or even compete with it. I think he's bringing that prestige back to it. That like, yes, if you hold this title, like whoever wins it after him, they're gonna have to carry on what he did with it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's big shoes to fill right there. I mean, so that's another person like whoever topples Gunther is another. That's another hard choice to make because he held it for a very long time. Asuka was an easy choice. Asuka can beat Bianca. It wasn't like it was a shock, but not a huge shock. So that was kind of like, not a given, but you could see it happening. But with Roman and Gunther, with those title reigns, who takes that mantle? Like now you're giving it like, holy shit, like whoever beats these guys is that next person in those respective spots. So,
and I couldn't even tell you who it's going to be. I don't have an inkling of an idea.
Yeah, like who's a competitor to Gunther? That's the other thing. Like he made it so he looks so dominant every time he steps into the ring. Like you can't see anybody beating him. Not anyone that like comes to mind, like a Brock Lesnar or those guys. But like if Brock ever wants to take that title, he might take it off of if he feels like it. But yeah, that's another like who right now. Like you look at the roster, who's taking down Gunther? I don't.
So here's what I would do if I was WWE. You have a big problem on your hands right now with this Drew McIntyre situation.
Yeah,
I understand Drew is not like what he was during the pandemic when it comes to the star power and I mean, he was WWE champion that whole pandemic. I understand that he's not at that level anymore. However, if you lose Drew McIntyre, especially in this, his contract wraps up the beginning of 2024.
Yeah.
If you lose out on Drew McIntyre, that's a huge gain for someone like AEW to just swoop right up. So if I'm WWE, first of all, you pay him whatever he wants. Just give him you are a multi-billion-dollar company.
Yeah.
Just pay him what he wants. Obviously, if he wants.
I don't think I don't think they're losing. I don't think I'd be shocked if they were just like that. Yeah, let him go.
Definitely, I'm sure there's struggle behind the scenes with it. But it really it shouldn't come down to they're not paying him what he wants. Just he's earned it. Like whatever the number. Obviously, if we're talking $1 billion, maybe.
And he got drafted to where? Raw or SmackDown?
Raw.
Oh yeah, see, no, that's perfect. He can battle Seth Rollins for that title, dude.
So if I'm WWE, first things first, let him return at Money in the Bank. And I think
Oh yeah, that's right. It's the O2. That's right.
Right, because they're in London. I think that's the only place that, like, if you want Drew to feel like a big star coming out of this whole situation, have him return at Money in the Bank. And this is where it gets a little sketchy because you have from now until when Gunther breaks the record that you just can't put the title on anyone else.
Yeah.
I guess you could give Drew the World Heavyweight Championship, turn him heel. My whole thing was going to be give him the Intercontinental Championship, and then that frees up Gunther to go and fight for the World Heavyweight Championship. Kind of what you were saying about how the IC champion is usually poised for a World Heavyweight Championship reign, match, whatever it may be. But it comes down to, do you want him to break that record, or do you want Drew McIntyre to have a prominent position in your company and overall be happy? Because you're going to need a title on Drew if you want him to stay. That's really what it comes down to in my eyes. Like, the money is one thing. That's behind the scenes stuff that I can't really get into because I don't really know much about it. But from a on-screen perspective, Drew's going to have to win a championship. He hasn't won a singles championship since he lost the WWE Championship, I'm pretty sure. Pandemic, he hasn't won an Intercontinental title. He hasn't won the United States Championship, Tag Team Championship, nothing. That's probably what the major issue is here. Like, he's probably saying to himself, at least the Intercontinental title. Like, you've done so much to build up this title. At least it's something that I can hold and it have value to it. It doesn't need to be the World Heavyweight Championship, but it could be. So, I don't know. I say Seth beats Finn at Money in the Bank. Drew McIntyre comes out, Claymore, Seth Rollins, turns heel immediately. Give him the World Heavyweight Championship. Maybe that's where you go. And we haven't really talked about this Drew McIntyre thing on RAWDOWN, so I think this is interesting how it comes up during the Gunther talk. But
I know.
but I think it's a big story right now that not a lot of people are really talking about, and they should be, because it's Drew McIntyre. But I don't know. Any other thoughts on Gunther and or Drew McIntyre? By the way, I just want to say that we are currently this is like the Thursday Night Wars, because the Chick Foley Rumble on 2K23 is currently streaming live on Facebook. So if you're watching RAWDOWN, open your phone and check out the Chick Foley Royal Rumble on 2K23 on their Facebook group.
That's right. The 17th annual Royal Rumble is happening now. So
the 17th annual?
No, it's not the annual. I think it's like it's the 17th one that
the 17th
round.
Pull up a phone, listen to or watch rather. Listen to us. Put your eyes on the Rumble.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's a good time.
It's fun.
I think someone's winning like a Ronda Rousey figure. I saw.
Yeah, you win a Ronda Rousey figure. It's actually really fun. It's actually, you get to hear the live commentary, obviously, with Sheena and Seth. But it's actually a lot. It's fun watching like the actual watching the game Rumbles. For some reason, it's like almost like as intriguing to see who actually wins it.
For sure.
Because obviously you were more engaged because obviously we know everyone that's in the Rumble. So it's just like, and everyone's live chatting as it happens. So yeah, it's a fun time. Another reason to join the Facebook group.
Yeah,
is the live Royal Rumbles that we do.
100%. I'm looking at the WWE's website right now, and I'm not sure if this is where you saw the name of the championship, but on the website, it is called the WWE Women's Championship.
Yeah.
It is not the Undisputed Women's Championship.
Yeah, so
I did not know that.
Yeah, but on the actual belt, it says Undisputed. So I don't. If you look like on the big W logo and you look at the bottom, it says, I don't know. That's why a lot of people are circling that and pointing arrows to it, and so it's, if you look at the picture of Asuka holding it, like the graphic that they have, it does say Undisputed. Maybe they messed up and their graphics person just forgot to like remove it or something. Maybe they just took the men's Undisputed Championship and just kind of didn't fix it all the way through. Who knows?
No, that's still. I mean, it's still on the WWE shop page too. The Women's Undisputed. Maybe it was just an error on whoever made the belt. Maybe and Triple H was like, "Oh, it's not undisputed. Why does it make it like this?"
It's just the WWE. Is it the WWE? So Rhea has the WWE Women's Championship.
So she has the WWE World Women's Championship,
and Asuka has the WWE
Women's Championship. Period.
Okay.
Which, by the way,
So it does revert back to the original Women's Championship.
I guess so. Yeah. But by the way, I never understood the names of the WWE's championships. I understand you need a title for SmackDown, you need a title for Raw. However, right now, it's called the WWE Women's Championship, and then it's called the WWE World Women's Championship. What makes one title a World Championship, and what makes the other title just a WWE Championship? And to that note, what makes one title just a representative of the world, Earth, and what makes another title a representative of the universe? What? Why?
I said that. That's what
Why?
I mean. I never got the reason why they named championships World Championships unless they were defending them like across the globe, like across the world. Like, AEW, they have the right to say, this is a AEW World Champ because they do Forbidden Door now. So they are actually, there's challengers from other organizations from other parts of the country, facing them for their titles and stuff. So they can do that. They should just call I don't know. I just I love football because they call it the Super Bowl. It's not the World Super Bowl.
Right.
It's not the NFL World Championship, right?
Just call it the WWE Championship.
Yeah, that's all you need to do. The NBA Championship is perfect.
Or you could call it a World Championship because the WWE is a worldwide company.
Yes, that.
But when you get into Universe and in the same company that uses a World Championship, it's like, what are we doing here? What they should do, all right, if I was booking WWE, how I would book the championships are, I probably wouldn't do this, but you have your WWE Heavyweight Championship, you have your WWE Light Heavyweight Championship.
They should.
You have the WWE Cruiserweight Championship. You have those three different divisions.
Yeah.
And you can have some, maybe a Sami Zayn wants to fight a Roman Reigns every now and then, sure. But it'll never happen for a championship because they're in their own division, but they can cross divisions for non-title matches. But you have those divisions, and because then every title is important. It's not like the Intercontinental Championship is a mid-card title.
Yeah.
You have the heavyweight, light heavyweight, cruiserweight. They're all on the same level because technically they're all like the main championship for their own division.
Exactly. I think that's what they try to do essentially with these titles, they're like their own divisions, like on obviously because of the brand split, Raw and SmackDown. So you have Raw's champions are Seth and Rhea and Gunther, obviously, and then SmackDown's champions are Roman, Asuka, and Austin Theory. So those are the divisions. Yeah. So those are technically your division representatives, I guess. I don't know. I blame it on this Endeavor thing. That's what I blame it on.
Blame it on Endeavor.
This whole merger that happened.
Oh man. Anything else that we haven't talked about? I feel like this was a very light news week.
Not news oriented. No, just those ones actually happened one after another. The Hook thing and the Carlito thing. Other than that, actually not really news, but Charlotte.
Oh, okay. Back. Yeah, let's talk. I don't really want to do a whole breakdown of SmackDown and Raw, but let's talk a little bit about Charlotte because I think this is.
We got to talk about
championships.
Kick him in his face. You kicked me. You got to kick him. We got to talk about that too.
Oh wait, was that? No, that was last week. We already talked about that.
Was that last? Did we talk about that?
Yeah,
we did. That's right. What the hell happened this past week then? Oh no, Roman wasn't on this week.
Right. That's why it's not even worth talking about SmackDown Raw because Roman wasn't.
That's
even
right.
On the
It was a whole. He's going to be groomed to be the next. Head of the table, all that stuff.
So that's tomorrow, isn't it?
Yeah, he'll be back tomorrow.
All right. So then we'll have something to talk about next.
We'll see we'll see what happens with if Roman was pleased with Jay's match
Kick him in the face.
Kick him in the face. He kicked me. You gotta kick him. No, but how do we feel about Charlotte just coming back saying I want a shot at this title?
I
And then
mean,
leaving Bianca in the dust.
at this point,
Like she doesn't exist.
it's just Charlotte's gonna be Charlotte. Charlotte must pose. Hogan
Is
must
she
pose.
the new Hogan? She's a female Hogan.
Charlotte must pose. Where do you think the story is going to go? I think is a question we can actually answer, because now Bianca, she's pissed because Adam Pearce made the match. Charlotte's back. Asuka's champion. Asuka already feels like an afterthought as a champion with Charlotte coming back, and Bianca's still the top name. So she's already third in this storyline. Where do you think we're going to go with this story? Are we going to see Charlotte become a 15-time women's champion?
Probably. And then Bianca will face Charlotte probably at SummerSlam or something.
I just dropped my fucking fidget spinner. Continue.
I'm thinking that's what I'm thinking. She beats Asuka, SummerSlam, Bianca versus Charlotte.
When would you do Bianca and Charlotte?
SummerSlam.
Oh, SummerSlam. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Because Charlotte is fighting Asuka in 2 weeks.
Yeah, and SmackDown for the title.
That, yeah. Okay. I like that. I like that a lot. We were thinking about, like, is Bianca gonna fight Rhea at SummerSlam? And at this point, it seems like that's not going to happen. I guess if there's ever a time to do Bianca and Charlotte, you should do it at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
And, this might be a hot take, but I'll throw it up there.
Hot takes here. Get your hot takes here.
If built properly, that could be your SummerSlam main event.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Roman's gonna fight Jay. That's not a.
That's gonna be a main event.
Detroit Stadium main event.
Dude, if Roman's on the card, dude, he's not going on. He's not going on first, middle. He's going on last. Dude.
No, Roman's gone on first a few times. He just doesn't like going in the middle. Like,
I mean, we talked about this with Night of Champions. They pushed. Like he didn't have to close the show. It was a
that was different because Seth had to leave.
Yeah, that's true.
So we don't really have a good. But he's started the show with Goldberg. He started the show with Kevin Owens. He's done the first match a few times. He started a show with Jey Uso at Hell in a Cell. So it's happened before. If I'm WWE, I'm either putting Charlotte and Bianca in the main event, or I'm putting the World Heavyweight Championship. I think your card right now for SummerSlam can look like Roman versus Jay. You could do Seth versus Drew. You could do Bianca versus Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
What else? I mean, Brock and Cody. That's a solid card.
Yeah.
Just those 4 matches alone. That's a really solid card.
I mean, definitely going to stick Gunther in there somewhere against somebody.
Right, Gunther and, I mean, I hope it's not like Riddle, but it'll probably be like a Riddle. Give me Gunther and Sami Zayn at SummerSlam. I'll take that any day of the week.
Yeah.
Regardless. I don't know. I think Bianca and Charlotte could be that closer because they're starting to build it up now. It's June. Shows in beginning of August. You got a little bit of time to build up Bianca and Charlotte match.
Yeah.
Who knows? Any other thoughts on Charlotte coming back? So you do expect her to win this championship against Asuka?
See, I'm not sure what's going to happen on that night, but I'm thinking she's going to win it before SummerSlam. But who knows? I'm also thinking that Bianca might ruin her chances of winning also. So, or maybe she'll try to get a match before Charlotte has her match.
Why are they doing this on the SmackDown before Money in the Bank? Did they ever address that?
That I don't know. Maybe because it is in. They are going to be there already, so maybe just have like a huge match. Maybe I don't know. Maybe she wins and then Bianca challenges Charlotte to face at Money in the Bank.
True.
Who knows?
You know what it probably just is? The TV deals. You're probably just going to start seeing a lot of championship matches on Raw. I mean, NXT's getting a world championship match. World Heavyweight Championship's been defended multiple times on Raw. I think there's an open challenge happening this Monday.
Yep. Logan Paul probably will pop out.
Oh, God.
Because he's returning. That's another story.
Right, he is returning. Title matches are probably just for TV deals. The United States title was defended not too long ago against Sheamus on SmackDown. So, it's probably the reason why, but regardless.
So, I mean, and we were wrong about Cody being in Money in the Bank in the actual match.
But I'm so mad about it because my prediction was true. Dom versus Cody is happening, but it's not for the Money in the Bank spot. It's just happening because that's the feud.
Yeah.
Which sucks because Dom should be Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
But now, like,
it's already filled up. All slots are filled for the men's.
It's gonna be LA Knight, which is fine.
I mean,
it'll be good. It just, what are they gonna? LA Knight's on SmackDown, right?
Yep.
He's gonna cash in on. He's not gonna cash in on Roman. He's not gonna cash in and lose either. Is he gonna move over to Raw? We're already fucking up the brand split, anyways. You might as well. But I don't know. Any other thoughts on Raw or SmackDown for this week? A light week.
Yeah, you get you get Dom and Cody. That's happening, obviously.
Maxine Dupree wearing the Alpha Academy gear now.
Yep, you have KO and his crazy going crazy gimmick.
Yeah, what is this?
I don't know.
Where did they come up with this?
I have no clue.
I'm not loving it.
Someone said I was reading somewhere. Someone said they think this is a gimmick in which he's doing this because he wants to turn on Sammy at some point. But the way he's like, he's trying to like, basically talk himself out of it. So like he gets so frustrated with himself, he just like starts going, and he just starts like flipping out. It's something that someone said is something internal with him. So he's battling something internally, and it's probably he doesn't want to be tag team champions with Sammy anymore. So he keeps on just like, not flipping out on Sammy, but just flipping out on other people because he doesn't want to project anything onto Sammy at all. So that's that's really deep diving, but it kind of works, I guess.
That's a really good story, actually.
Yeah. Because Sammy's like, hey, I'm calm, blah, blah, blah. I'm all happy. And Kevin's just like, no, I'm not fucking happy. I don't want this anymore. I'm done with you. This whole... Because he's still interacting with the Usos and shit. And Kevin told him to stop. Like, we're all done with that. We're done with the bloodline. But Sammy's always... He did it this past Friday. He stopped Jay in the hallway. So, like...
The only reason why it doesn't work is because Kevin Owens is so cartoony when he gets mad.
Yeah.
It's like, I wish he would be like more like make it awkward. Like he just gets mad at people. Like not be like, I hate everybody. He reminds me of a Muppet. He reminds me of when Kermit gets mad and he starts yelling at all the Muppets backstage. Like that's Kevin Owens mad to me. I'm like, could you be a little more like actually mad at people? Whatever.
Like when he was like, we're gonna go fight. He was like, I can't wrestle with this because I'm wearing a t-shirt and shorts. But it's not any difference because I wear a t-shirt and shorts. That shit was hilarious.
It's funny. It's just
yeah, I
wish you would whatever.
He's just annoyed. It's annoyed Kevin Owens. It's a weird gimmick.
This is a very good story though, if that's what they're going with. I do very much like.
Yeah, instead
I
of
like subtle stories like that.
instead of him blowing up on Sammy, he like blows up on other people.
Yeah.
Like he's just like, I gotta turn my anger over here. Yeah. So I
That
mean,
works
I
fine.
like it if they are going that route, which I mean,
Who knows if they are?
that'd be awesome if they were, but who knows?
All right. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Hey yo.
It just popped out of nowhere.
Folks, thanks for listening to another episode of the RAWDOWN. J-Bone, what do you got going on for Chick Foley?
J-Bone? You just call me J-Bone.
Oh, shit. Did I call you
Jeez.
J-Bone?
Yeah, what the hell is up with
That
that, dude?
rolled
You
off
miss
the
him so
tongue.
much.
Oh. I don't even start with J-Bone when I do this. I usually go to you first, don't I?
Yeah, you do.
Jesus Christ. What was that?
Man,
Marco.
you're just secretly in love with J-Bone. That's all. You just miss him.
Hey.
You guys had a good
Who
time
wouldn't
together.
love this face? Marco, what do you have going on with Chick-fil-A? At least I got the show right. At least I didn't call it fucking coming down the aisle.
That's very.
That
is true. A new Pod Warriors is coming. If it's not, is it out already? I didn't see anything posted yet. Believe they're doing a new Pod Warriors dropping soon. We'll probably be doing a preview of Money in the Bank next week. So is that actually no, the week after next, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So we have 2 more weeks in June. So in between time, probably I want to start up open mic again. So be on the lookout for that. Got a couple of people I want to lined up that I want to do some interviews with. Do it live, pal.
Hola, pal.
Yeah, so hop on the old StreamYard and make it live for the masses. So
Yeah.
we're getting that done. Other than that, follow me on Chick Foley Show on Twitter and follow Sheen on Chick Foley on IG, chickfoley.com. Get all your episodes of the Chick Foley Show, Pod Warriors, Open Mic. Sign up for the Chick Foley Facebook group. It's the best group ever. Like we were talking about earlier tonight, they're doing a live Chick Foley Rumble where you can enter to win it's already happening, so you can't enter to win now. So you have to, if you join, you can do the next. You do the next one when it comes out. But other than that, Pod Foundation, follow us. Like I said, the greatest collection of wrestling minds in the podcast and business. Obviously, with Extra Cooler, Turnbuckle Tavern, coming down the aisle with J-Bone, and the Chick Foley Show. So yeah.
Yep. And you can catch me on the next episode of Count It Out with Mike and Tyler. I'll be making my return to the show to do a list, top 7 Roman Reigns championship defenses. That'll be the next episode. So I'll be giving my list on that. Check out what I think are the top 7 Roman Reigns title defenses. Really looking forward to being back with Tyler and Mike. It's been a minute since I've collaborated with them. So it'll be fun to be back on the show. But and also I'll give a quick plug to the other asshole coming down the aisle. What the fuck's his website? comingdowntheaislepod.com. If you want to put in that long ass website name, you can find his podcast now. He's dropping an episode. I think The List with Miles. They recorded one. So you can check that out after you type in comingdowntheaislepod.com, finding all of his podcast stuff. We love J-Bone. All right. Look, folks, if you like what you heard, and I know that you did, make sure that you head on down to the TurnbuckleTavern.com, where you can listen to our podcast and watch all of our videos. Follow us on social media. You know the drill by now. You know where to find us. Support us. Give us likes. Comments. We get no comments on these videos. Give us a comment. Let us know what you think down below. It helps us a lot, more than you think. ProWrestlingTees.com/tavern. Everyone's got a shirt. And everyone would like you to get their shirt. Marco's got a shirt. I have a shirt. Tom has a shirt, unfortunately. Everyone's got a great shirt on there. Great designs. Buy multiple. I'm sure there's a summer sale happening at some point on Pro Wrestling Tees. You know, buy some merch. Or if you don't like Pro Wrestling Tees and you don't want to get caught up in their BS, well, you can get caught up in Teespring's BS, which is good. I mean, I like Teespring. They have really good product, options over on Teespring. When you head to theturnbuckletavern.com, you can get stickers and mugs and, Mr. Backlash on a t-shirt. You get all this stuff. It's some good merch. Pro Wrestling Tees. theturnbuckletavern.com. Then click Teespring. You'll find us. And then call the tavern 304-404-2004. Just call us. Let us know what you think of anything going on at the tavern, especially the RAWDOWN. We want to know what your thoughts are on everything that's going on with the Women's Championship situation. I hope that you weigh in on that. I know we were getting a little heated in the comment section tonight, so I want to bring this to the flagship. So maybe we can also hear what Chad and Steve think about the Women's Championship situation. The only way you can do that is by sending us a call. 304-404-2004. Once again, that's 304-404-2004. I put one too many zeros in there. Did I? 2004. Okay, yeah, I did. Call us. Folks, thank you so much for tuning into yet another edition of the RAWDOWN. Next week, we will be reunited, and it won't feel so good because J-Bone will be back in West Bumblefuck, Louisiana, to provide his god-awful takes on the world of the WWE.
That's great.
But it'll be fine. It's not the same. We do good as a two-man show, but it's never the same. We always need a third asshole to
Of
fun
course.
of every now and then. Looking forward to having him back. Folks, we will see you next week for yet another edition of the RAWDOWN. But until then, as always,
Life sucks, and then you die.